Okay, I'm doing this live because I just saw so many people yelling at me. I mean, I don't even know what to respond to, so I'm just letting you guys have access to me and ask me anything. What do you want me to do? And to your number one comment for today's episode, this should have been recorded publicly. That wasn't the offer that I received. So what could I have done differently? Like, they reached out and said, we want to do a live stream. You saw what Blake did. They reached out again. They said they wanted to do a live stream with just me and Erica. I said, that's great. Like, whatever. Then they said the temperature was too high, so they wanted to do it private. What was my option there? To say, no, let's not do it at all unless it's public. If I had said that and they didn't make it happen, then the headline would have been that I was scared to have the face-to-face. So obviously I'm going to actually take the offer to sit down and ask all of my questions. So there's nothing hidden there. Like, I just took the opportunity that was given to me, and I still would. And I think it would be good to have a public live stream. Like, I've always been open to that, you know? You can't sit here and say that your intent is to get answers and then shut down an opportunity to actually get answers. I mean, I went there with a notebook. I had a list of questions. Basically everything was done on the show. I had planes, my color coordinated planes. I asked, it was 4.5 hours. I obviously could not have told you every minute of what happened during that sit down, but just to make sure that you guys don't feel like I'm not telling you something, ask me whatever it is that you want to ask me right now about the sit down that happened. Like, there was no secrets. There was nothing that I'm keeping from you. In many ways, there's a lot that I still need to process. Like, I was just trying to give you guys like the high notes today. There's a lot that I need to process. There's a lot of interdynamics or whatever, like I explained to you today, things that didn't make sense to me, but I mean, what am I going to do with this information other than put it out there? So I will let you guys ask me anything. Did Charlie want to divorce Erica? That I saw, there's like some account, I guess, that trolls on X, and they put things out and they're like, Candace said this. I have never made that claim. I never heard that claim. I never came across that. And the person that said that came from me actually and completely made that up. So that did not come from me. Really, what is your take on Erica? Is she covering up, or really does she not know? So what I always say is, like, you can clock a lie, right? So let's start with that. I did just a couple of days ago when I said I was on Jimmy Dore's show, and I was like 100% Charlie had these messages, okay? To assign the motivation for why, if that was a lie and that she didn't own it face to face or whatever, to assign a motivation to that is there could be 1,000 things. Are you scared the company's going to go under? Are you trying to, like, you know, protect and make the Jewish donors happy? Like, that is definitely, like, I thought it was a very weird choice for her to do Barry. I did. I just was like, why would you do Barry Weiss? Kind of, the PR must know what the vibe is right now of how people are feeling about Israel. We all kind of feel like Israel had something to do with it. I mean, I definitely do now believe. I mean, right away, I never thought they had anything to do with it until BB was doing the rounds. And so I felt like it was a weird choice to do that. But it's like, are you motivated because you want your Jewish donors to be happy? The same people that are pressuring Charlie. Yeah, I think that I had the same reaction to that everybody else had. And I was very clear about that. Like, that was my reaction is, you know, do I think that she definitely knows some stuff that she's not telling? Obviously, she's not going to tell me everything that she knows. Obviously, she's going to protect the interests of the business beyond being honest with Candace Owens when we don't have a professional business relationship. I think probably the number one thing that was weird to me is the Hamptons summit. I just have a really bad feeling in my stomach about what happened at the Hamptons. There's just too many lies surrounding the Hamptons, too many white lies surrounding the Hamptons. I just feel in my gut that what happened at the Hamptons is there's something weird going on there. Like, gonna keep it honest with you. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I would say about that. This person, am I going the wrong way? Oh, it goes the opposite way now. JK. What surprised you the most about the conversation? That they owned so much of it, you know? And I don't know if that's, like, partially because they knew that I had the information, or, like, I don't know what, if you know, if it was motivated by the right thing, or if it was more like, okay, the internet is clocking us repeatedly and we've tried, like, you know, the crisis PR maneuver and that's not working. It keeps backfiring. And so our last gig here is to like try to be forthcoming about things that we were dishonest about. I can't, again, I don't know these people. I can't assign motives to it, but that's what I was genuinely surprised about. Like that they were willing to admit that this stuff wasn't true. One thing that I will definitely say, and that's why I brought this up on the show today, that going back to the last question, I'm very uncomfortable with the vibe that everyone is putting out. Like Tyler's, why, where, how? You have what we have. This is not convincing at all. So why are so many people saying it? That feels to me, and I feel right now, that there has never been more money spent on a PR campaign, plausibly ever. Like I think, and I'm not being funny, I think this is like $1 billion. Like $1 billion campaign to say that Tyler Robinson acted alone on the roof, despite no evidence that could convince somebody that that's what happened. That's the kind of money I think it is. And so that's the kind of stuff that in my gut signals to me that Israel could be involved, because that's the only country that has that kind of sway. Like I said on my show today, it's not the Egyptian lobby that has that kind of sway in America. So yeah, that's the vibe that I get from what we're seeing. People that don't normally do that sort of thing saying stupid stuff. Like the evidence is just overwhelming that he did this. And I talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer is like, we don't have anything that the public doesn't have. And I'm like, so what's going on here? That's kind of my feeling. This person says, where is TPUSA's video footage? I did get that answer. I want to make sure I'm recalling this correctly. They said that in terms of the SD cards went to the FBI. And that after that, because they had the ops, I was like, I told them, like, I will never feel good about the Terrell thing. Like, that was weird. That conversation was weird. He lied to me a lot. And by the way, I should be clear that I'm hearing that a lot of people are getting, like, their families are being threatened. Obviously, me saying that I don't trust Terrell is not like an excuse to go after somebody's family. I know that feels really patronizing for me to say that, but like, just to be clear. But regarding Terrell, they said that it was the live stream footage that they also have like back at home, because he said the ops were watching it back at Turning Point USA, and that footage is still there. So they have footage at Turning Point USA, and they have, the feds got the SD cards. That was what I was told. The dance was not traditionally Jewish. I think you're talking about that. Yeah, it was Romani, right? I'm pretty sure. This person asking, what the F? Guys, I'm just answering your questions. I see all the waves and I love you back. But what surprised you? I already said that. Okay, am I like slow? Does it scroll up or does it scroll down? Okay, whatever. So the main, I guess that's the main point. Like, any questions that you want to ask, I'm happy to answer it. Like, I mean, it really was like a 4-hour conversation, and I was nervous about, like, I hate to say this, but like, I was worried about my safety. Like, I've been pretty clear that I think that there are people involved at Turning Point, and I couldn't really kind of, I want to say, like, it didn't make sense to me, and I communicated, it didn't make sense to me why they felt so confident that people at Turning Point weren't involved. You have a massive organization. You have bad blood between people at the organization. You've got people that have various addictions at the organization, people that are lying right now at the organization that are doing weird things. Why is it such a far stretch to think that somebody could have had something to do with Charlie's assassination? Especially like a financial motive, even if there's a financial, like that, I feel like that's common sense. Like, it's your standard mystery story, like, I mean, just like your standard murder mystery. And I wanted to understand that. I'm like, why do you guys feel that that's like not even an option? Like, that seems like almost like common sense to me. And there are a lot of people that are signaling that. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, there's no way, like, you know, Turning Point's a good organization. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I came up through Turning Point, and I know, like any other organization, you get a lot of rotten eggs. And I think that with Charlie gone, there's obviously going to be a concern. And I did stress, and I used the example of Tyler Boyer. I'm like, this is a person that it's like an open secret what he's into, and you guys are signaling that like he's a part of the family. What am I supposed to make of that? Is that just bad judgment, or is that like kicking the can down the road, or is it kind of overt? We're going to protect bad people. You know, this is all the stuff that I said. Trust me, I said everything that I have said on the show. I just didn't want to like give you a 4-hour podcast today about everything. Okay, let's see. I have one here of the questions. Okay. Oh, I figured out how to do the questions. Okay. Is there information that you absolutely cannot discuss? No, there is not information that I absolutely cannot discuss. That's why I'm saying ask me anything that you want right now. Does Erica still want you to stop? Did she explain herself? Yeah. So Erica said that the reason that she told me to stop was because of the way Barry set up the question. And so she was basically saying like, you know, stop, that's it. And then there apparently was a lull, which could have been edited. And Barry kind of wanted her to say more, but she didn't say more. That's what she told me. This person said, do you believe that the world can trust Erica and trust Turning Point USA? You know, I don't think that we can trust anything until we figure out what happened on that day. You know, that's why I said I'm not voting until we figure this out. And this weird peer pressure that we all need to vote and just like keep focusing on politics and support conservative organizations. And like, it's like, no, because to me, if this is covered up and we don't get a clear answer, and when I say a clear and convincing answer, I don't mean $1 billion campaign spent on influencers telling you that the answer is clear. I mean, like, we all look at each other and go, yeah, like 100%, we saw him pull the trigger and that's it, it's over. And even in that regard, even if I actually saw Tyler Robinson pull the trigger, and I don't think he did, and I haven't moved 1 inch on that opinion, but even if I did actually see him do that, I still would not think he acted alone. So I don't think that we should just be moving on and trusting everybody. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's no way that Erica could know that organization this quickly. Like, there's 650 employees, and someone was just assassinated in broad daylight, and people are telling lies. People are telling lies. We're going over the lies, like, on the show live. So I don't get how anybody could trust the situation right now. This person says, what's one thing you learned that you didn't know prior? I mean, there's a lot of things I learned that I didn't know prior. I think probably the part that we discussed about the magic bullet, them saying that, you know, Andrew was kind of flying rogue and just did that. And I will say I struggle with that one a lot. I struggle to believe that because, first and foremost, how on earth, like, we'd have to believe that, first off, the surgeon, who's a professional, who works at multiple hospitals, just thought it was fine to talk to a PR agent, who in theory, he shouldn't have even seen Andrew, right? Like I said, Andrew gets there later. I'm assuming the surgeon didn't just wait around to hold hands. That's not what surgeons are supposed to do. They should be working on the next patient, whatever it is. Okay, he had to have had permission, because otherwise doctor would be like, who are you? Like, how, especially when there were so many people looking for information, I would imagine the doctor would have been on high alert. So I feel like we're not getting the truth of that conversation. Like, more happened. There was some sort of a facilitation between that conversation. That's weird. And then you have to believe that not only did Andrew fly rogue and call the surgeon, and then the surgeon violated HIPAA to talk to Andrew, but then on top of that Andrew then was like, I'm going to tweet this and I'm going to put quotation marks because I remembered from memory what the doctor said. I'm just like, that's a lot of stuff that had to have happened. And I don't know. I just don't. I feel like there's a little bit more to that story. This person said, did EK comment on the Egyptian planes following her? I've talked about this on the show. We're going to get more into Egyptian planes tomorrow. She definitely seemed receptive to it. I'll say that. She was definitely receptive to it, and there's no way not to be receptive to it because it's true. It's happening. This person is, are you now paid by Israel? No, it's Qatar. It's always Qatar. This person says, did you find it strange that Erica had Charlie's phone during investigation? I forgot to mention on the show today. I did ask whether or not the feds took Charlie's phone, and they didn't. I think the feds are involved. I've been pretty clear about this. Like, I hope you guys, like, the feds are involved. Like, I just believe this in my soul that the feds are involved in this. There are some things that I have not said publicly because there was only one person who would know this and they would lose their job. Let me put it this way. I am like 99% sure the feds were involved with what happened on that day. That's where I'm at personally. Okay? I don't even question that. Like, that's not even something that I'm willing to play the game with. The Kash Patel, what did he know? Where did he know? So now for me, it's like how many people at Turning Point knew that. And I have bad feelings about a lot of people that are there. I shouldn't say a lot of people, that's not fair. A lot is me being dramatic, but I have some bad feelings about people that are there. And especially when their stories start to run into each other, like we've shown, it's not good. Because it's like, what's the point of telling small lies, right? Like, I thought it was weird that, like, Elizabeth got cut out of the story of Mikey's first phone call when they were all so insistent that was like a military maneuver, you know? This person says, are you not being paid by Israel? Did you ask about Pierre DuPont? I had already asked Justin Strife about Pierre DuPont, and he said that he did not know Pierre DuPont. And I had asked that before we had ever even sat down. I did not ask Erica about Pierre, which I should have done. And I had a list of questions, and I did not think to ask her about Pierre. I should have done that. I can still do that, though, because the lines of communication are open. So there you go. Is there anything that Erica said that you didn't believe? I think I kind of just answered that question. I struggle with the Andrew Colbert tweeting that by himself. Like, it's pretty standard. Non-doctors know that you have to speak to next of kin. And also, I would say the Bibi Netanyahu offer, saying that, you know, she didn't know about that offer. I don't know. Are we, like I said, I'm trying to assume that there are still Israeli donors who are facilitating this, like, sit down with Barry Weiss, and that's the reason why there still seems for me to be this, like, protection of Israel. That's just how I feel. I feel like the company is interested in protecting Israel's interests. And I do think that there's some Israel angle to the story. And nobody made me think that other than Bibi Netanyahu right after Charlie was killed. Do you think Erica is okay? Yeah, I do think she's okay. Are you and her friends? Like, we were never, like, close friends, obviously, because what happens when you get married is you, like, focus on your family and your kids. And I started having kids right away with George while him and her were dating. We've always been cordial. We have always gotten along, and we were always very supportive of one another when her and Charlie were dating, then when her and Charlie got married. And I do think she's okay. I think, you know, something that she did say, which I mentioned on the show today, was that her and, like, basically that, like, the way that she copes is by working. Like a workaholic, you know, like throwing herself into work is like a form of grieving for her, which I think a lot of people had questions about that. I didn't ask her a question about that. She kind of offered, actually, how did that come up? She didn't offer it. There was something that I said, and then she was like, well, I can explain. I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember. I don't want to butcher it and put words in her mouth. This person says, let me scroll down here. Who does she think killed Charlie? I think she expressed herself, hence the reason why I pointedly asked the question. She expressed, at least what I got from the Glenn Beck interview, was that she believes that it was Tyler Robinson, and I don't see how she gets there. On the basis of the conversation I have with the lawyer, I feel even less compelled that it was Tyler Robinson. I was holding on to, like, the off chance that they had some smoking gun, literally like a smoking gun that we didn't have access to, and we were just like the dumb and ignorant public. That's not true. So I just don't get that. I do not get that at all. Or was I asked to sign an NDA? Clearly not. That's why I'm talking to you guys right now. What about her ties to Romania and the missing kids that she sent to Epstein Island? I never heard about kids being sent to Epstein Island. The entire thing about Romania, I have never even covered on my show. So I was not the person equipped to ask any of those questions. I kept telling you guys, like, I was fully locked in on what happened on September 10th. I obviously saw all the TikToks about her mom, about the CIA thing. Actually, her mother did come up. That was interesting. That is actually a very interesting point. I will tell you right now, the most, like, raw emotion that I have ever seen from Erica was when she was talking about her mom. She could barely get through, because I knew, like, from Charlie when they got together, like, her mom was sick, and, like, because he had sent her overseas, I think it was Iceland or somewhere, actually Austria, to try some treatment. And so I knew that her mother had been sick. When she even started talking about her mom, like, it was the one time that she broke and looked like she was about to cry. and like turned really red, like, you know, like she was trying to keep it together. And I can tell you like that she loves her mom. That I've never seen, like I would stand that to the end, that Erica Kirk very much loves her mom and she's very close with her mother. Most raw emotion I have seen from her, like authentic raw emotion, was when we brought up a topic of her mom. And that was in relation to, I asked her straight up how she knew Tyler Boyer. That's another thing that's just coming to my mind right now because I'm just riffing at you, but you can't remember everything. I mean, guys, it just happened. It was a 4.5 hour meeting. I took notes. You just got to give me time to like process them. That's when her mother came up and she was like, yeah, she loves her mom. Her mother being sick is something that genuinely impacts her. Why did the conversation have to be private? What do you want me to tell you? That's what I was offered. What do you want me to do? Like, that's what I was offered. I was offered public. I said yes. I was offered private. I said yes. I'm going to take whatever I can get. And I hope that we can then have a conversation in the public, that it can be AMA style and the public can ask all of their questions. I don't, if I was in their position, I would do it. I told them their PR has been a disaster. I think their PR, I said, this is a new PR world. And I feel like you guys have been treating the public like they're stupid, and they're not. They're not stupid. They have sussed this, you know, they know this entire situation is suspicious. And I feel like you should just be kind of like dealing more honestly with the public. This person says, why hasn't Erica protected you regarding the FBI? Oh, that didn't even come up. Honestly, I didn't even think to ask her about like, oh, could you reach out to the FBI for me? Because that's not how it's supposed to work. I pay taxes. The FBI should answer because I reached out to the FBI. And I think it's obvious. It's because I think they're involved. And I think Kash Patel is petty. And that's the reason why they're doing absolutely nothing about me saying that I have information pertaining to foreigners being on the ground that day. They're just not interested at all. Somebody said, did they threaten you? I was absolutely not threatened. Am I safe? Who knows? I mean, I'm fighting like 6 countries, one of them being the demonic entity that is Israel. Probably not, but it is what it is. This person said, do you think Charlie would still want you to apply pressure? Yeah, I do. I do think Charlie would still want me to apply pressure. And figure out what's happening. And that's why I'm doing it. Did you clarify anything surrounding whether or not an autopsy occurred? I already told you guys for a fact an autopsy did happen, so I didn't have that on my list of questions because I had already confirmed that. Was yesterday your first time speaking with Erica since 9/10? Yes, it was. Will TPUSA own up to the lies as much as you did? Will they defend you publicly? That's actually a good question. It was a private conversation. It would actually be great for them to then have it on the show and to own that they lied. That would be good, to exercise some humility, because I feel like I've been public enemy number 1 and all I ever did was tell everybody the truth from day one. Does Erica think Tyler killed Charlie? Yes, I think she's already said that on multiple interviews. Was there discussion around UVU remodeling the crime scene? No, I forgot to ask that question, so that was my bad. Did they address the issues? Also, because I don't know that I should have thought about that, but I feel like that's more like a Fed question, and I was trying to focus on like Turning Point USA questions. Did they address the issues with the finances and taxes? They brought an entire tax document thing for me to look through. I'm not an accountant, which is why I haven't spent much time talking about their finances other than the Doge thing, which I was like, that was a weird lie. I don't understand like why Tyler would say that that's like something that he had always done. And they owned that that was not something that they had always done. So again, this is the stuff why I feel like we could have benefited from doing a public like live stream, because they did own a lot of the stuff, and it, like you said, it has not been owned in a public capacity. This person says, was Erica surprised by anything that she wasn't before? I would say, yeah, she was very surprised on one thing that I kind of surprised them with that I hadn't said publicly. And I explained to them that it was a very big reason why I am convinced that someone at Turning Point knows more about Charlie's death. I think they were very shocked by that when I told them what that thing was, which was like basically that somebody inside of Turning Point told me that. I'm not naming names, but somebody inside of Turning Point told me that Turning Point was involved. And they were kind of jaws on the floor about that. And were like, okay. And I was like, look, I haven't put that information out in the public yet because I am aware that of what the ripple effect of that will be. And I also, it could very well be, obviously, in terms of conspiracy, do we think 650 employees of Turning Point USA are in on it? No. But I think it helped them see that I was being compelled by what I'm being told. And I have not told the public every single detail of everything that I've been told, because I am playing a game of chess. I need to figure out, to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. So there is that as well. I'm going to do a few more questions here. Darn, I accidentally scrolled to the top here. You guys asked a few times, who do you think? Did you find it strange that Erica has Charlie's phone during this investigation? I find it strange the FBI didn't take his phone. But then I think about it and I'm like, actually, it's not strange, because I think the FBI is in on it. So it's like, yeah, I know they did some weird stuff, starting with in the hospital. I know the feds were there. I've never said that until just now. The feds were at the hospital way too early, in my opinion, and they did some weird stuff. I don't know what to say other than that, right? I could say more, but I'm just kind of trying to wait and process a few more things. This person says, okay, sorry, I'm scrolling just because I realized yes, we asked about the Doge audit. I thought I said something about that on the show today. Why do you trust the call logs? They could have been fabricated. You're absolutely right. They could have been fabricated. But if they fabricated them, to whose benefit? It actually made it seem like everybody lied. So, of course, they were, in fact, edited. It wasn't the full call log, uninterrupted, printed from the website, because they wanted to just show me the relevant portions. But that's all we had. I would prefer to sit down with Mikey and for Mikey to show me his call logs in person. I'm open to that. If I ever get an opportunity to go on their show, I would just be like, can you show me the phone so I have the confidence? I can only tell you guys what I was told, This person says, I told you about the Egyptian planes. You'll have so much more on that tomorrow, so I'm going to skip that. Who styles your hair? Mia, who came with me for the vibes, my cousin, A1 since day one. She can't stand me, but she's always with me. Do you believe that Erica Kirk is skeptical of Kash Patel? That's a good question. I feel that, and this is not coming from the private meeting, this is coming from just public messaging, that they have been trusting of Kash Patel, that they have been in communication with him, is what I've been told. They've been in communication with him. I find that to be weird, because I think Kash Patel is completely and utterly full of shit. So if she is skeptical, it was not communicated to me. And I didn't ask that question specifically. Is Erica interested in the story of the witness that called you the military meeting that he saw in the military base? I think that's an interesting question. I don't feel that I got they were not, I guess what's the word? They're agnostic. There wasn't a oh, whoa, that's really weird. And there wasn't a actually, I shouldn't say there wasn't a chance to shut it down. What they did was they brought Brian Harpole's his travel logs from Tokyo, because remember initially when I did the episode, I was like, oh, they couldn't have made it back in time for this meeting. I was actually wrong about that, because I was forgetting how much time you gain back when you fly back from Tokyo. I think we figured out through this series, I'm not the best at time zones. Anyway, so they had his travel stuff. And when I have his travel stuff, which is why I said we'll get back into the Camp Huachuca thing later. And by no means is it shut down. This is a very strong lead. And I do sense that there was major panic about this meeting. The attacks leveled up, and that's saying a lot, because they've been attacking me nonstop. So when they gave me Brian Harpole's thing, I looked at it, I was like, oh, this doesn't debunk anything. He could have definitively made it, because I explained to them that Brian Harpole, that person who is certain that he saw Brian Harpole, he says, and we're going to have him on the show hopefully tomorrow, he says that he saw Brian Harpole, and that was around 7:47 a.m. So he's unaccounted for. during those times. What I can tell you is, and I'll show you this tomorrow, like Brian Hartpole got back from Tokyo into Dallas early in the morning on September 8th. So that's a full day. He could have been at Camp Huachuca on the 8th. But Brian Hartpole, by the way, is calling around, like telling people he's going to like sue me or something, which is weird because he hasn't even sent a cease and desist. He's like talking to Tim Pool apparently and saying weird stuff, and got a message out to somebody else and was like trying to seed. Like basically I feel like Brian Hartpole is scared of us investigating Huachuca, and so he's intentionally signaling to people in the public that he's going to sue me. And when people as a strategy don't just like hit you up and say, hey, you got something wrong, here's so you can correct it, but then go the route of like legal threats, they have something to hide. It's very simple to just like shut something down with the truth and say, hey, I saw this, you got mixed up. He's trying to like scare me with lawsuits. So I feel like Camp Huachuca is the undoing of everything, okay? Tomorrow's episode is going to be very interesting. And that's all I can say, like, for right now, because we had to put the pieces together and trying to figure out who was there at that meeting. But Baron Coleman's episode really helped build upon the fact that someone very important from DC was at that meeting. And he verified, in case you didn't see it, that this was a high-level meeting. I had people on the base who verified that the windows were blacked out. It was turned into an intelligence operation. Also, that in general, Camp Huachuca is an intelligence base. He stumbled upon this meeting, and it could literally solve the entire Charlie Kirk case. That's why I said I need to focus my energy on that, because I feel like part of this creating this like war with Erica and people saying this, that, you know, I was beating employees at Daily Wire, and them even releasing like the firing tape. I didn't even discuss this today. The firing tape of Jeremy Boring on stage, firing me and calling me a semi. It feels like they're trying to distract me because it's the last week of the podcast. And I feel like I have to focus on this. Like I feel like we could solve it. So if we get any detail about the Camp Huachuca base. So I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. I won't answer any questions. Like I said, I'm not convinced by anything. So I'm sorry if you are upset that I took the only opportunity that I was given to sit down and try to get answers, and did my best to kind of deliver to you like the high level, low level. I do think it's good that we have communication with Turning Point USA. I think that's a good thing, because it allows us to, when we find a lie, to instantly have me message Justin and say, hey, you said this or he said that, what's the deal? Like otherwise we're just going, okay, we don't know why they lied. So I don't know. I feel like that I did the right thing on that, like trying to like facilitate a conversation, and I am 1000% open to still having that conversation public. Maybe now she feels comfortable to do it publicly because she did it privately, you know. Anyways, I guess that's kind of, we'll end it for today, and I'll obviously see you guys tomorrow when we get back onto Camp Huachuca and what we've discovered about that alleged meeting, all hands on deck meeting that took place the morning before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. See you guys then.